If today was the last day of the year, what would be that thing that I'm like, man, I wish I would have done this? The power in asking yourself that question before you are at December 31st is that we still have an opportunity for it not to be a shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? Hey friends, I'm Rosemary Lewis, your homegirl, and I'm so excited that you are here. I do not care what it looks like on Instagram or HGTV. This whole being a realtor thing is not for the faint at heart. In 2017, I quit my job as a teacher to follow my real estate dreams and quickly found myself overwhelmed and struggling. Fast forward to today. Not only have I been recognized as one of the leaders in our industry, I have actually grown a business that I absolutely love. I don't care if you're a brand new agent trying to figure out how to get started or a veteran feeling overwhelmed and just stuck. I was just like you, and I totally get it. Many times I wish there was someone that I could just talk to about all the challenges I was facing, and that is why I created this space just for you. Like best friends do, I'm giving you all the tea related to navigating and thriving in these real estate streets. If I can do it, guess what? That's proof that you can too. Everything's better with friends, so let's succeed together. Welcome to the Real Estate Bestie Podcast. Well, hey there, besties. Welcome to episode number 90. First of all, can y'all believe that we are already at episode number 90? It seems like we just started going together like last week. And you know what? There are some besties that may be tuning in to this podcast for the very first time. And if you are, I hope from my very first intro, from the very first time you heard me call you bestie, that you felt welcome, that you knew that you have found your place. Your real estate besties are here. And if you are one of the homies that has been with us since episode 1 or one of the OGs, right before Rosemary had enough common sense to actually turn these Instagram lives into a podcast, because that's what it started off with, I just want to say thank you, because we are trucking along and I'm just so excited for our future together with this real estate bestie community. So episode 90, and since it's episode 90, I thought, and looking at the calendar, that it would be a great time for us to talk about business planning for 2024. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, now if you are listening to this podcast on the day it is released, it's going to be released like the first or second week in October. And you may be thinking to yourself the same way I used to think to myself when I first got into real estate, like, are we already thinking about next year? I'm just trying to get through this year, right? And listen, I totally get that. But let me tell you, this is the perfect time to start thinking about your current business, thinking about what your goals are for next year. And I'm going to give you some insight on why this business planning cycle should happen for most of us no later than October, right? We need to start thinking through what you desire for the next year. But I do want to give you like a warning label. So like, imagine this is like me, like warning, like, understand that this is not saying that 2023 is over. Okay. We just started Q4, y'all. So there is still a lot of time to have a lot of traction this year. There is still plenty of time to hit your numbers. There is still plenty of time to, get back in the swing of things. I don't want the fact that we are getting ready to discuss 2024 to be, the way we kind of do our New Year's resolutions, right? Nothing magical is going to happen on January 1st. So I don't want us to take our foot off the gas and just say, you know what, we're just going to call this year a wash because we're thinking about next year. But I actually hope that it is the opposite, where because we are thinking about 2024 and we're starting to put plans in place and do things like that, that it actually gives us all the incentive to finish strong. And when I think about it, y'all, my friends and I, we started, and some of you are going to get where I'm going with this, and some of you are going to be like, y'all cheated. But listen, I'm just tell you what we're doing. October 1st, we started our version of, have you heard of 75 Hard? 75 Hard is like this popular mental toughness challenge that you may hear a lot of people doing, right? And I'm going to be honest, is that I think that it is good. Like there are some parts of 75 hard that I really resonate with, but this all or nothing, you're a failure if you don't do everything 100% all the time mentality. I mean, I just know that can have a lot of negative impact on your mental health. And I even talked about it with my therapist, and I just think that you should have some flexibility in life. But with that being said, my friends and I, we were up for a challenge. So we're doing what we are calling 30 hard-ish. Okay. So we have modified, or we have taken what 75 hard outlines, and we talked about what things we want to include in our 30-day challenge. And we are like on day like 12 of it. Okay. So I'm just bringing that up to say we purposely started this prior to the new year. We talked about starting it or doing a version of 75 hard or something in January, but we were like, no, we want to get some traction and just really focus in on some accountability and some really good habits before the new year so that we can finish this year strong, then go into the next new year. And I'm going to tell you, like, I have had a lot of years where, y'all, I said I'm going to start that diet on January 1st. And I do start that diet on January 1st. And I do good. But I eat and like have done so much foolishness with the sugar and the drinking and the snacks and the hanging out and all that during the holidays that I am almost miserable. But because it hadn't been January 1st, I didn't allow my brain to switch. But not this year. And I don't think we quite did that last year either. Just doing something to just really get our minds right so that we can finish the year strong and then continue with some of those great habits in the upcoming year. Same situation with our real estate business. I want us to start to think about right now where you are, and then we can make a roadmap for where we want to go. So we're going to talk about just 5 things that I want you to consider, right? So this is going to be definitely one of those podcasts where you might want to hit pause, go get a sheet of paper, or make sure that you bookmark this so that you can come back to it so that you can think through these 5 areas that I'm going to share with you so that as you begin right now planning to finish strong and go into 2024, that you have some structure and some things to help you as you think through the next year. So the very first part that I want to encourage you is that, listen, whether you're seasoned or just starting out, having a well thought out plan is key. It's going to be key to achieving our goals and staying ahead, especially in this competitive industry. And you all know there are so many talks of so many things that can impose fear, from interest rates to now what's happening with the National Association of Realtors to buyer agent commissions, all these different things that I know that you all are hearing. And it can cause us to be so fearful that we just let our businesses happen. But not us, besties. We are going to be intentional. We are going to think through kind of where we are and where we want to go. And that is how we're going to spend our time today, because I want to make sure that we have super, super amazing 2024s and finish strong. So the very first thing when it comes to business planning, first things first, we have to reflect on 2023. So often I see that we want to speed past, or we don't spend enough time reflecting on what has gone well and what areas we want to improve on. Sometimes it's just like, okay, I want to go full speed ahead to the next thing. But there is so much value in, number one, taking the time to stop and think. I think that thinking is an underrated skill, especially in the age of social media and busyness and all these things. Like, I don't think that we give ourselves nearly enough time to just sit and process. One thing that I do with my team on our sales meetings, we start every sales meeting off with glows and grows, right? Because I want to challenge myself and my teammates to think through, and we do this once a week. I want us to think through just our past week And what is something that really went well, right? That is our glow area. And then what is an area of an opportunity, right? A grow area, right? So instead of saying it was a mistake or pit in our day or pit in our week, where is something that we can grow from? And I know that it does not always feel great to make mistakes, or when things, and sometimes your grow areas aren't your mistakes. They're just things that you wish would have done differently. And sometimes it was based on our effort or something that we did or didn't know to do. And sometimes it's just the way the cookie crumbled. But a lot of times, whenever there is disappointment or things didn't go quite as planned, the really important thing is to figure out how to grow from that, right? What do I know so that now if I ever find myself in this or a similar situation, I would do something differently. So we have to begin by reflecting on the current year. And I am a fan of thinking about my year before it's over. So thinking about this year in October. And this is a question that I ask myself. If today was December 31st, today is not December 31st as I'm recording this podcast, but if it was December 31st, what is something that I feel really proud of, right? When I look back at the entire year, what's something in my business that I can say, hey, I'm really proud of this, right? And then the next question, though, I would ask myself, if today was December 21st, what would be my shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? If today was the last day of the year, what would be that thing that I'm like, man, I wish I would have done this? The power in asking yourself that question before you are at December 31st is that we still have an opportunity for it not to be a shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? So if your shoulda, coulda, woulda is, you know what, I really wish that I would have, done more on video, then guess what? You don't have to be regretful of that. You can go ahead and do more on video. Or maybe your shoulda, coulda, woulda is like, you know what, I really wish that I would have farmed my neighborhood, or I really wish I would have done an event for my sphere of influence, or whatever that thing is. Then when we are asking ourselves and when we take the time to reflect on the current year before the current year is up, remember that gives us an opportunity to come through and finish a little bit stronger, right? Sometimes there are just some things that were shoulda, coulda, wouldas, and we can't go back and change them. But now this is an opportunity for us to figure out, what did we learn from them, right? And then also, what went really well, right? So what was an area in your business? What was an area in your, whether it was connecting with your sphere of influence, or maybe you just were amazed on how this deal came together, or how, this one lead generation activity actually catapulted you into a different atmosphere or a different realm of the business that you weren't necessarily seeking, or this is the year that you actually found your niche. Figure out what things went really well, and now as you begin to plan for the next year, because you have this information, we have gathered this data on what went well and what went not so well, it's going to help us as we begin to plan. So make sure that we are evaluating what worked and what didn't work in our business, so that as we go in the next year, we can not spend a lot of time on those things that didn't work and put more effort and energy and our time into the things that didn't work, or that did work. So make sure that we are reflecting for 2023. Okay, now here is the next one. The second part is that now it's time to actually set goals for 2024. I am going to encourage you to definitely set clear, achievable goals for the coming year. We call them SMART goals, and I actually have a handout. I have a free PDF guide that you can go to. And I don't know if y'all know this, but I have so many free resources on my website for the besties. If you go to rosemarylewis.com/besties, I have like weekly calendars, I have ideal day calendars, I have habits for success, but in particular, I have a handout about creating SMART goals that are specific, they're measurable, they are time-based, they are relevant to you. So I want you to go ahead and check that out so that you can actually make some smart goals that are going to be specific for what you want to accomplish. And understand this though, if you have taken any course from me, or even if you listen to me at any point, being a real estate agent is only part of who we are, right? That is not, I don't just identify as an associate broker or team leader. I love doing it, but I'm so much more, right? I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a friend. Look, I'm low key a comedian on this podcast. Whatever you want to think I am, or I want to think I am, I guess I should say. So there might be other areas in your life where you want to take assessment and actually set goals. And don't be afraid of setting a number. Don't be afraid of really, I don't care what's happening in market. The reality, I know it's a lot of people that want to make you believe that our profession is extinct. I know it's a lot of people that want to make you believe that, and make you fearful about what it looks like to be a real estate agent. This was a really hard year with interest rates, yada, yada, yada. I understand that, but I also understand that I personally have some people in my life, some friends, some real estate besties, some agents that I have coached, even myself, that had a darn good year in 2023. Okay. Some people had the best year they've ever had. And because the fact still remains is that everywhere I look, I don't know about you, I see two things. I see people and houses. So there is opportunity for us to serve at a high level, whatever high level looks like for you. There's somebody listening to me like, you want to be $1 million real estate agent. And I say, go sis, you got this. And there's somebody else who's like, you know what? I want to replace the salary that I was making at my job, or I'm a dual career agent, whatever the salary is, but to have flexibility in schedule and to be doing something that I feel more passionate about, that is what I want to do. That is still an amazing goal, and there is still opportunity to get that done. So I want you to actually come up with that number that you want to make in commissions, that you want to bring home, so that number can be, I'm not going to say in the forefront, but we need something measurable. We need something measurable to say whether we hit it or not. And, having vague goals, I want to make six figures. $100,000 is six figures. 999,000. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. All them nines. That is, why can I say that? Let me say it. $999,999. There you go. I had to stop and think and say it. Those are both six figures. However, can we agree that the two people, the person that's making 100,000 and the person that's making $1 less than $1 million, are living two totally different lifestyles, right? And maybe you're okay with either one, but we need to be specific about what our goals are. So we actually need to set goals, and head on over again to rosemarylewis.com/resources in order to download that will really help you identify and set your goals. Okay. Now, here's the third thing I want you to think about as you are business planning. Are you in the position where you can start identifying your target market and your target niche? Like, who do you really want to serve, and how are you going to be marketing to that person, right? How are you going to be marketing to that demographic and identifying that? So I want you to really think through, and this is a great way. I remember doing this my first year in the real estate business, okay? My first year in the real estate business, I was a part of a team. And the team that I was a part of, they did a lot of internet marketing, right? So she did a lot of internet marketing. There were a lot of cold leads. Now the cold leads would click on the website and, so they would engage with us, but I was still a stranger calling them to say, hey, you clicked on the website and you were looking at 123 Main Street. So that was a much different type of business model, was different than what I was used to. And I was grateful for it. However, at the end of the year, at the end of my first year, I'd closed something like 37, like just shy of 40 houses that year, right? My first full year in the business. And I remember like literally going through the way that my and I was not this smart on my own. My brokerage, and your brokerage probably has it too, where, it has a list of all your deals. So like I literally took out a T-chart and I made a T-chart. I took a sheet of paper. I wrote one vertical line, then a horizontal line. And then on one side, I put team leads, like the people who came from this cold calling system. And then I put the people who were like organically attracted to me, whether from social media or my sphere of influence or all of that, right? So that's the way I separated, like people I had some sort of previous connection with or people that I met strictly for my team. And what I started to notice is that these cold leads, while I had gotten pretty good at them, I was all over the place. The price points were a little bit lower than where my desired price point was going to be. And quite honestly, I did not have a real connection. It was, even though I know that I did a good job and I was growing and learning, it was a little bit more difficult for me to establish rapport with the majority. I'm not going to say everyone, but the majority of people on that side of the list. Then on the flip side, when I looked at the people that, were either came from referral or we had some sort of relationship, either like I used to teach with them or I was referred to them by somebody I used to work with, or, it was more of a warm introduction to me. I noticed that, okay, the area that they were in was closer to my home base. The price points were a little higher. And then overall, I enjoyed working with these people a little bit more, right? So that started to help me narrow down my niche in my marketing to say, okay, I want to develop a more attraction based model where I'm attracting people that are in this certain area, that are shopping in this certain price point, because truly and honestly, I felt like I was a better fit for them because I was more familiar with the area. The price point was similar to where I was actually purchasing a home, so forth and so on. So really taking some time and identifying your target market and narrowing it down to what your niche is, right? I have some people on my team, they're starting to do the same thing. I have one young lady who like definitely has a heart for first-time home buyers, right? So in her marketing, as we're talking about how the team is going to be supporting her, she's definitely looking to target and support first-time home buyers. I have somebody else who is a veteran, right? So she is really starting to slim down so that she is really targeting that veteran market because she understands the different idiosyncrasies that they deal with, moving, frequently and things like that. So as you start to identify this, I want to just put this out there. I know when you first get started, I wish I could tell you that I had the option to do this in the first year or two. And the reality is that I really didn't. I needed income and I needed to go where the deals were. But as I got into production and as I started to look at the data, it helped me really figure out, okay, who am I better to serve? And I've been able to even continue to condense that list and identify on a specific market. So as you go into 2024, just see if you can slim it down a little bit from where it was in 2023 so that you're not all over the place and that you are really focusing on growing your business in a particular niche and to a particular market. Now, with that being said, I do want to point this out, right? I do have an ideal client, but you better believe, unless they want me to go out to like Timbuktu, if it makes sense, right? Even if the buyer or the client isn't, my ideal niche, I will still help, right? I'm not turning down most business. Now, if they're, for me, I have limits in terms of how far I'm going to drive and things like that. But, just because you are starting to niche down doesn't mean that you won't absolutely help anyone who is outside of that realm. But you do want to get into the point where you are starting to target a specific area. Next, when we are thinking through 2024, y'all, we have to think through our marketing efforts and our branding strategies. Now, you know that I'm always hesitant to really spend a whole lot of time talking about branding. What's funny is me and my husband were in a grocery store today, and there was somebody who called him Mr. Rosemary because they were just familiar with my marketing, right? Part of my social media marketing, I share my family, so they were familiar with him. So even though I am really big on marketing, I never want us to be so big on marketing that we forget to be good agents, right? So we already know that you're my besties. We don't have to go and harp into that. But really think about what your marketing is going to look like, because the reality, and I'm not just talking about marketing yourself, I'm talking about getting these deals closed, right? Getting these listings off the books, right? And that's the thing. I think so often we are thinking about how to market ourselves. That, remember, your job is to sell these houses. Okay. So just make sure that you are thinking through what are going to be your creative marketing strategies. Do you need to be in masterminds? Are you paying attention to what's happening on listings? Do you know how to have these conversations so that even when you're going out here getting listings or you're having conversations with your buyers, you are preparing them? And what is your brand message? Okay. And that's something I actually need to do a whole podcast about brand message, because your branding is not just your colors and all that. We've already talked about, like, you are the brand. But when someone is working with you, what message do we want to make sure that we are always conveying, right? And I'll give you a great example. When you come to the Real Estate Bestie podcast, the message we always want to convey is that, bae, you are not in this alone, right? That you are doing business in a supportive community, and we are a real good friend. We can talk about all the nitty gritty, the joy and the pain, and we are going to link arms and do this together. That is the overarching message that we want to have. So what, and with that, bright pink is our color. You're always gonna catch me smiling. I'm goofy as I don't know what, because we want to create a welcoming environment. So thinking through, when it comes down to your brand, what message are you conveying to your clients? On my real estate side, I would think that, like, the message that I would have with my buyers and sellers is like, I was their homegirl for life. I was there to just really support them in every area, in every aspect of the real estate process and beyond, right? So thinking through that, what's your marketing and branding strategies? And just know that personal branding is important, but more than anything, your reputation is important, right? So you have to be able to manage your reputation and just stay on top of your game. Okay. And here is the last one. Y'all, we already at number 5. Okay. Number 5, financial planning and budgeting. Okay. Listen, I am preaching to myself because yeah. This can go a lot of ways, right? Because when you're making money, you need to know how to budget. You need to know how to save. You need to know how to put up for taxes, but you can't put everything up where you are not having any business expenses and you are not pouring back into your business. So definitely having these conversations and thinking through, you have your number of what you want to make. So as you are making that money, what is your tax strategy? So it's a great time to have a conversation with a CPA. Even if you haven't made money, honestly, I wish that I would have had conversations with a CPA before I started making money, to say, hey, this is where I'm going, like speaking into existence. This is where I'm going. When I am at the step that I'm at now, what do I need to be thinking about so that when I get there, I'm not backtracking and I'm not like playing catch up. Okay. So thinking through, like, what does your budget look like, right? What is going to be your budget for next year for client events? What is going to be your budget for any support people that are helping you, like VAs and things like that? What is going to be but what are you going to pay yourself? Like, are you going to put yourself on payroll? I know that in Texas, there are going to be some laws that are shifting about, like, when you can have a business. Like, before, you technically weren't supposed to be paying yourself in an LLC unless you were a broker. But to my knowledge, now y'all go back and check this. I'm not telling y'all, like, this is why you need to talk to your CPA, talk to all the people. To my knowledge, that might be changing in January. So having a conversation right now so that you can figure out how you need to set yourself up for success on the finances side is going to be key. And then also, if 2023 taught us nothing else, is that you need to save some money. Okay. Listen, a lot of times in real estate, there are 2 mentalities or 2 areas that people stay in. Either they feasting because the deals are rolling, this is where the money resides, or it's famine, right? Like, you are like desperate for that next commission where you're not even using your real good sense because you really need to get some money on the table. So we want to eliminate that feast and famine mentality, right? And we want to make sure that we are setting ourselves up for success. So having some financial planning and budgeting, covering those financial aspects, figuring out your income projections, your expenses, and what your savings goals are will be crucial for the next year and honestly every single year. Okay. And then here's the last one. Here's a bonus. I do think that in 2024, there should be space, a budget, and time in your schedule for your professional development, right? Getting in the right rooms, having the right conversations. I don't care if that's a course. I don't care if that is a coach. I don't care if that is going to different events. Actually making space so that we can grow. Like, how many books you gonna read next year? How many masterminds are you going to attend? How many networking events are you going to be a part of? How much are you going to pay? I have a friend. His name is Terrell Knight. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to have Terrell on the podcast in a couple weeks. I keep saying that. I keep telling y'all about him, and I got to tell you about him because he really has made me put my mindset in check in terms of how many dollars and how much time am I willing to invest in me. And I'm proud to say that because of having a friend like that in my corner, that's why I'm doing Real Estate Bestie, because he has encouraged me so much to invest in me that investing in me has produced something like this, right? So what is that going to look like for you? And if you have never been in a position where, for most people, this is what I've learned, their investment in themselves ended at college when they got a student loan, right? But in this business, I'm telling you, everyone who is at the top of their game, they have a coach. They are putting themselves in rooms and positions where they are learning, and even just showing up in spaces where you are networking with other people who have common goals is a game changer than just, being with the barrel crabs you were normally being with. And with that being said, y'all, I'm so excited because with Real Estate Bestie, if you are listening to this podcast as it is released, we have 2 things coming up that I know are going to be game changers. Number one, Real Estate Bestie Academy. We're taking the guesswork out of what you need to be doing on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly basis for your business. The Academy is going to really show you step by step how to get out here, set these goals, dream of a bigger vision, but also give you all of the tools and strategies that you need to go out here and get it. So head on over to rosemarylewis.com/academy and you can get all of the details. We are starting the course really soon. I want to say it's going to start the 3rd week of October 2023. So you got to get on it right now if you want to join us in Real Estate Bestie Academy. And then next year, okay, I need everybody to suit up and listen to me. We are having the Real Estate Bestie Retreat. It is going to be more than a business conference. It's like a business conference, a retreat, hanging with your homies, but like leveling all the way up in a way that you have never done so before. And we are so excited. And I know what we are planning. So I'm excited for what we're planning, but I'm even more excited for everyone who will be in the room, because I know that you are going to learn and grow from each other. And I think that's where the real magic happens. So rosemarylewis.com/retreat for that. So you got to act fast on the Academy. And for the retreat, you still got to act fast because we're only going to have 100 spaces. That's going to be in April of 2024. So go ahead and reserve your space now. And it is going to be super dope. So, all right, to recap, 2024 is upon us, okay? So that means it is time for us to reflect on the current year. Then we got to set these goals for the actual next year. You're going to identify your target market and niches. Then you are going to figure out what is your marketing plan and what branding strategies are you bringing in the new year. And then finally, get those financial plans and those budgets in check. Besties, I hope that this was helpful. And if it was, if you could do me a favor, leave a review and hit that share button. We want to share this with your other real estate besties so that they can be prepped for the next year with us. And I will talk to you soon. Bye now. If you enjoyed this episode and you have a real life bestie that you think it would resonate with, y'all, do me a favor. Go ahead and hit that share button, because you know what? We are better together. Make sure you share the podcast, and I appreciate your reviews. I appreciate you giving me 5 stars more than you know. I'll talk to you next week.